Welcome to Box of Chocolates, where you never know what you're gonna get. Thank you for joining me as I review the new sci-fi horror film Ash, which is the directorial feature film debut of Flying Lotus. He's a musician. I don't know anything about his music, but he did direct one of the segments of VHS 99, the Ozzy's Dungeon segment, which was very strange, but very memorable. It was like a 90s Nickelodeon game show if it turned into a weird horror movie. So I was curious to see what he would do with a full-length film, especially a sci-fi one. So for the setup of this film, you have a team of astronauts on a planet. They're testing it out to see if it could be compatible with human life. Eiza Gonzalez's character wakes up. She's got a bloody wound on her head. Everybody else seems to be dead, and she has no memory of what happened. The only other person who seems to be left alive is Aaron Paul's character. So it's kind of a journey around this base with her trying to piece together what happened and figuring out what they need to do next in order to survive. If there's one thing to see this movie for, it's the visuals. I'm curious to see anything else that Flying Lotus does in the future, especially if it's in this vein, because the colors are just incredible in this film. Everything is this like hyper saturated, deep red or blue or purple. You have really nice looking shots constantly. The unique designs of everything, whether it's the planet or just weird shit going on in the sky that doesn't seem to make any sense and you don't know what it is or what it means, but it's there. And it looks cool. Even the design work for some of the technology was unique. Like, their spacesuits don't look like a typical spacesuit. They kind of look like the mech suits from Edge of Tomorrow, but if they were designed a little more for exploration rather than combat. They're very unique. There's a lot of unique design work, a lot of great, weird, trippy visuals, and a lot of bloody visuals. A lot of people with their faces smashed in, and Eiza Gonzalez possibly hallucinating or trying to remember whatever it is that she has lost track of, and just weird visuals of creepy people's faces popping out at her. There's some good blood, there's some CG, of course, but it looks like they did whatever they could practically, and it looks really good. And the music accompanies the visuals very well. It really kind of induces this dreamlike quality to the whole thing. It was a very unique style of music for this type of movie. And so it created a really nice atmosphere on this dark, mysterious planet. We don't really have much of an idea what's going on it outside of this small area. There's ash falling from the sky constantly. It's weirdly colored. She doesn't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. Everybody's just dead and she's seeing shit. And so there is a very nice kind of nightmare energy to the whole thing. And Eiza Gonzalez and Aaron Paul are both really good. There's this inherent tension to the situation when he shows up alive and perfectly healthy and intact, and she has no idea what's going on. And we're not sure who we can trust, and neither are they. And so they have to show this camaraderie because they did know each other, but she doesn't remember that she knew him. But she's trying to trust him. But nobody's really sure who they can trust. And so there's a good bit of tension there, and they both play their roles very well. They definitely carried it while being in a small environment for the most part, and mainly being the only two. They were really good. And it's effective. There were some creepy visuals. I was curious to know what's going on. It's only 90 minutes. It goes by pretty fast. But it's definitely more of an audio-visual experience than it is an emotional one. You don't really get much time at all with all the side characters, all the crew members who end up dying, and she's trying to figure out how they could have possibly died. We get one flashback at the beginning showing them kind of around the table together, and we see their rapport with each other, and I expected many flashbacks like that to be scattered throughout the film, and they weren't. That was really the main one that we ever got, and it just wasn't enough. I didn't remember any of their names, except maybe one. I didn't really know what made them special. I didn't know what differentiated them from each other. At one point, they were talking about one of them, and I didn't know which one they were talking about because I didn't know them very well at all. They did not stick in my memory. You have Eiza Gonzalez and Aaron Paul, and they're your main duo. Everybody else, the ones that we're apparently supposed to feel emotional for, I just didn't. Because she'll have these little flashes of the crew members looking at her and smiling, and they're backlit, and the sappy music is playing like she's supposed to be thinking of the happy memories with them, and I'm like, I don't have any happy memories with them. I don't know them at all. I'm not particularly sad for them. Sorry. Also, the entire movie is about unraveling the mystery, so it's not really that rewatchable because once that's done, it's kinda done. And the actual answer by the end is not very surprising or interesting. There are some smaller reveals along the way that I did not see coming, but what I thought was the main reveal actually wasn't, and what it ended up being as the scene went on a little further was less interesting than what I thought it was. And so by the end, I was like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, it's a fine reveal, but when the entire movie hinged on it, it's not something I would feel the need to revisit. It also feels like it's taking influence from a lot of other movies, maybe a little bit too much. It definitely reminded me of Annihilation. It's quite different, but there were some visuals, one specific visual in particular, and a little bit of the thematic discussion towards the end. It felt like there was some dialogue ripped straight out of Annihilation. And not only that, but some of the themes the movie decides to explore in the end about human colonization and what they're doing here on this planet and how that's affecting other things felt very shoehorned in. It felt like that was in there just because that's a thing that's in other sci-fi projects, and so we'll put it in this one. It didn't really feel organic. It didn't really feel built up to or natural. It kind of felt like it was just in there. It didn't have anything of interest to say about any of it. It's certainly original enough, but because the mystery was not that compelling and all those side characters were not that compelling, I did notice a few things where I'm like, that could have been changed up a little bit from the things you were influenced by. I think it would have been a cool video game. I mean that as a compliment. There were some segments that were in first person even that made me think, if this was like a short story-based game where you're just wandering around a bloody space station trying to remember what happened and occasionally creepy faces pop out at you, that'd be cool. So it's definitely a showcase for Flying Lotus's talent. He didn't write it. So maybe if he wrote his own script one day, or if you just got a better script in general, maybe we'd have something tighter. But as it is, it's still a pretty cool visual experience if you're a sci-fi horror fan. It has a really good atmosphere. It does have some creepy imagery to it and some good practical effects that establish, like I said, this kind of nightmare fuel for the main character. I wish I was fully in her shoes, caring about the situation and how these people had died. I really wasn't, but I was into it just for the atmosphere. And like I said, it went by quickly, so it was pretty fun. It was cool. It was unique, but I'm not going to go back to it. So I'm going to give Ash 3 out of 5. It is something that sci-fi horror fans should check out. It's an original film. It's got a cool style to it. While the story and characters aren't the best, it's worth seeing at least one time. So that's all I have to say about that. Leave your thoughts on Ash down in the comments below. I would love to talk to you about it, whether you agree or disagree with anything that I said. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and you want to see more from me, and I will see you next time.